Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jump, and today we're doing my top 5 favourite video game remakes. Now, remakes are a well-known thing nowadays. We see them in TV shows, films, and even video games. And I think, for me personally, video game remakes kind of do a lot better in terms of how they're remade. In terms of, I think they do better than a film remake. Like with the Disney remakes been happening like over the last few years, where I think with video game remakes, if you compare them with like the live action remakes of like Disney films, I feel like video games remakes get a lot more praise because they follow the original game very closely, whereas with live action remakes they might follow. Let's say, for example, the Disney live-action remakes, they might follow the originals to an extent, but then they might add in or change a few things within those films. Whereas I think with video game remakes, they basically follow the game or the original game very closely, and they just give the games a polish up in terms of graphics, maybe gameplay, that sort of stuff. So for number 5 is The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Now, what I like about this remake is that the graphics have that sort of like little cute sort of style. I think the graphic style is really interesting. It's one of those ones that kind of draws you in and makes you want to play it. And yeah, I've got to say, this is a really good remake. I think it's a huge improvement of the original one. And you can just do all of things that are cool. And I also think that the new stuff that was added to this game was neat, because you've got this sort of labyrinth dungeon styled mini game thing that you can do. And what that basically is that once you've beaten a specific dungeon, you can basically use the tiles that you've got from it and put them into your own mini dungeon thing. And also, you can also get a Link's Awakening amiibo, which I think is really cool and interesting, and I think this is a really good, honest-to-God remake. For number 4 is Crash Bandicoot: The Insane Trilogy. Now, I think this is a really good remake over like the original, because if you compare both the graphics with the original trilogy of Crash Bandicoot, the graphics are very different. Because if you look at the original ones, they are more blocky, and with the Insane Trilogy, they look more polished and they look well more designed. And yeah, I think this is a really interesting remake. I think it's for both new and old fans. Like for old fans, they can re-experience Crash Bandicoot, and with new fans, they can experience all the different levels throughout the games and see how difficult that this game is. What is difficult, if I'm being honest, because like there's one with the second boss of the game. That with that boss fight, you have to jump from these like square platform things that's covering over water, and if you're not careful, you can sink. So that's how difficult a particular boss can be, and also all the levels are quite different, and you have to traverse each one. And also, with Crash being Crash Bandicoot, you have to get a lot of boxes in the game, which can be difficult at times because you can mess up a lot of the time. And I think this is a really good, honest remake. For number 3 is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, what I like about this remake is that, like with Crash Bandicoot: The Insane Trilogy, the graphics with this game and the original Final Fantasy VII are a lot different. With this one, it's more anime-y, and it's a lot more better quality in terms of the original. And I think that there's a lot of really cool stuff to this game, because in my review I said that I quite like the set pieces in the game, because there are two set pieces. The sort of battle styled set piece, and then there's the normal down to earth set piece where you can do a lot of mini games, a lot of side quests, that sort of stuff. And I really do enjoy a lot of the battles in this game, especially the final boss. I think that's like a really challenging final boss. I won't spoil the ending of this game because it's really interesting, and it's a really clever idea on how you play this game and how it can be seen in the future. And I do like all of the characters. I think all of the characters sort of interact well with each other, and how they can help you throughout the game, and see how you can try and beat different enemies, where the characters you meet give you specific items like healing potions, or give you materia that can help you with certain enemies, that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's why I quite like Final Fantasy VII Remake. For number 2, it's Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Now, out of all the Pokemon games that have had remakes, I feel like that these ones are the best ones, and I think they have, I think they're really good compared to the other remakes. I think it's mainly because it's based, the graphics are based mainly on X and Y graphics, and I think that's what makes them really interesting and cool, because they're based on Generation 6. I also like how in this game you can use Mega Evolution, and yeah, that's really cool because I really like Mega Evolution. I think it's a really cool concept in the game, and I think it should have been brought into Pokemon Sword and Shield, and where you can have Mega Pokemon battles. And I also like the whole Primal Groudon, Primal Kyogre thing. I think those designs are really cool and interesting, and I quite like how the team leaders of both Team Aqua and Team Magma both can Mega Evolve their Pokemon, and it's just really cool. And I think it's a really cool, nice remake. And I think that I think that's the reason why that some of the reasons I've made on about these games makes Generation 3 possibly one of my favourite generations in the Pokemon series, because they're really cool and interesting. So yeah, that's why I like Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And for number 1, it's The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D. Now, what I like about this is that it takes it takes the same style as the original Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64, but makes it more well polished. Because if you look at both N64 Link and 3DS Link, you can see that even though they look similar or basically the same in design, you can tell that the 3DS version of Link in Ocarina of Time is a lot more polished and a lot more well defined if you compare it to N64 Link, because with that one he looks really blocky, kind of like how Crash was if you compare the original Crash Bandicoot with the Insane Trilogy Crash Bandicoot. And I really enjoy this remake. I think it's a really enjoyable game, and if you're like a new Zelda fan, I highly recommend Ocarina of Time 3D to be possibly one of your first Zelda games to play, so you can experience a lot of the things that goes on throughout the game. And I think that this is a really cool thing. One of the downsides to this game, for me personally, are probably the Sheikah stone things that give you visions of specific things, like how to beat a specific boss, how to get a specific item, and yeah, that's kind of one of the things that kind of puts the game, that kind of draws me out of the game, is because of those things. And it would have been nice because I think one of the things that makes Zelda games cool is you just finding stuff and seeing how to defeat specific bosses and stuff like that. And with the whole Sheikah Stone things, that kind of draws me out of the game a bit, because yeah, it's basically a hint guide, and that kind of puts me out of me playing a video game and stuff like that. But apart from that, I really enjoy this game, and I think it's a really good remake. So that's been my top 5 favourite remakes. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.